Welcome to Mickey, Marvel, and More, Disney news, commentary, and opinion. From theme parks to Thanos and from Skywalker to Skyliner, my family and I will discuss it all. So let's go!
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hello. Wait, what? Hello! Hold on just a second. Do you guys think you can take a lunch break now so I can do my podcast? Okay, thank you. So finally, hello, Mark here, and welcome back to a studio version of Mickey, Marvel, and More. We are back in our temporary studio in the Tower of Yavin Base while the hangar bay below gets repaired from the flood. But the good news is we're back in a studio and back to a regular release schedule. A lot has happened in the Disneyverse while we were out of the studio, but we also received a lot of listener mail too. So let's get to one of those first.
What message? The one you've just been playing. The one you're carrying inside your rusty innards.
This episode's listener mail comes to us from somebody who's already a friend of the show. It's someone who goes by the name of Guybrush Threepwood. Since Guybrush is already a friend of the show, I don't know if I can bestow upon him or her any other type of honor. Maybe we can start something like SNL does and have a 5-timers club and we can hand out jackets. I have no idea. Anyway, Guybrush writes in to tell us that they are finally caught up with all of our backlog of episodes and was super intrigued by our Star Wars Celebration episode we did recently and wonders why Disney hasn't done something like Star Wars Celebration for Marvel. They also suggest that maybe fan favorite Zack and I should sit down in the family chat and do a breakdown of all of the Star Wars and Marvel animated TV shows and let people know what's worth listening to, what's important, or what's not even worth it at all. Well, Guybrush, you're in luck. Fan favorite Zack and I have discussed your idea, and we have a Star Wars/Marvel animated television show discussion in the works for one of our upcoming family chats, so stay tuned for that. As for your question about whether Disney will do something like Star Wars Celebration for Marvel, I looked around and really there has never been anything ever official that's been said about it. If I were to hazard a guess, I would imagine it comes down to one thing: money. As we talked about in our Star Wars Celebration episode, the celebrations were started by the fans. While it was an official fan club, the fans put it on themselves and organized everything. It wasn't until a little later on that Lucasfilm had a much larger hand in the projects and eventually just ran it themselves. So by the time Disney purchased Star Wars from George Lucas, the Star Wars celebrations were already an established, well-oiled machines, not unlike San Diego Comic-Con. They already had a built-in audience and a following and an almost guaranteed attendance at locations all over the world, so there really wasn't much for Disney to do other than just let Lucasfilm organization continue as they always had, and all Disney had to do was just let them run it. So starting something like that with Marvel, Disney and Marvel would have to build something from the ground up. And while I think there's enough material in the Marvel universe for them to use, I think that there are already so many other venues that cater to comic book fans that it would just end up competing with things like the juggernaut that San Diego Comic-Con is, and they would really just have an uphill battle ahead of them. Marvel and Disney already have a large presence at most of the major Comic Cons all over the world. And right now, with all of the development Disney is doing in their theme parks all over the world, as well as running their day-to-day operations with their animated and live-action television shows and movies, I just don't think it would be financially reasonable for them to start something like that right now. But hey, you never know, stranger things have happened. Thanks so much for writing in, Guybrush. If you want to be just like Guybrush, drop us an email at mickeymarvelandmore, all one word, at gmail.com. And if we read your message, comment, or idea here on the show, you too will become an official friend of the show. and be well on your way to earning that 5-timers jacket. We have so much more to get to, so let's get started with a little news from in and around the Disneyverse. First up is a topic we've not talked about for a minute here on Mickey, Marvel, and More: the Disney Cruise Line. Over in Papenburg, Germany, the newest Disney Cruise Line ship, the Destiny, had its official float-out. For those that don't know, a float-out is when a ship leaves dry dock and touches water for the first time. The shipyard that it came from has been building and maintaining ships since 1795, and they have been responsible for every Disney Cruise Line ship since the Disney Dream, which was delivered in 2010. The Disney Destiny is the line's third Wish-class ship and the seventh ship in its fleet. They are currently wrapping up the Destiny's final fittings before its first scheduled cruise in November. The Destiny is all about Marvel. The icon on the back of the ship is Spider-Man and some of his spider bots. The Grand Hall, which is the entry point for the cruise ship when you board it, is themed to the Black Panther and will feature a huge bronze statue of T'Challa. The article we've linked in the show notes has all kinds of behind-the-scenes information and pictures of the float-out, as well as pictures and descriptions of all the things on board. Be sure to check that out. Also, just one day before the float-out, the Disney Cruise Line started work on its next Wish-class ship, which they celebrated with the official first steel cutting of that ship. The as-yet unnamed ship is scheduled to set sail in 2027. Fun side note, my family is preparing to take our first Disney cruise since 2022. In October, we're going to take a quick little Disney cruise over fall break. It will be our first ever Halloween on the High Seas cruise, and it will be our first cruise on the Disney Wish. We are very much looking forward to it. We also plan on bringing you a full trip report on our cruise once we've returned, so stay tuned.
Seabase Alpha to surface control. All hydrolators pressurized. Prepare for boarding.
10-4 Seabase. Hydrolators now boarding for departure to Visitor Center at sub-level 5.
And finally, we bring you some of our favorite kind of news stories here on Mickey, Marvel, and More. Baby animal news! Another new manatee has arrived at the Seas Pavilion at Epcot. The newest addition is a manatee named... Boy, I sure hope I don't butcher this too badly. I practiced this so many times with Google before the show. The new baby manatee's name is Tanimura. Tanimura was seen munching on lettuce just 2 days after her arrival. It's estimated that she is around 1 year old and weighs about 300 pounds. Manatees typically stay with their mothers until they are between 1 and 2 years old, meaning Tanimura may or may not have been orphaned. Other than that, Disney really doesn't know too much about her backstory. So if you're heading over to Epcot anytime soon, be sure to check her out over in the manatee tank. Because as we've told you on the show before, their manatee program is now a short-term rehabilitation program, so it's unclear how long Tanimura will be staying there. As always, Mickey, Marvel, and More will be here to keep you informed with all of Disney's big and tiny animal news.
That your meaningless lives are now contributing
I'm
to
sorry,
the balance.
Earth is closed today. You better pack it up and get out of here.
You're trespassing in this city and on this planet.
It means get lost, Squidward.
So Fantastic Four First Steps has been unleashed into the MCU world. Is the third time the charm, or did Kevin Feige and company drop the ball with the first family of Marvel? Well, as you all know, if we're talking Marvel, that can mean only one thing. We are reaching out to our Echo Base studio located in an underground bunker from an undisclosed location in Chicago, bringing in fan favorite Zack to the family chat.
Wow.
I
Wow,
figured,
I haven't heard that one before.
well, we're making it more and more grandiose every time.
Man. I don't deserve such fanfare.
So welcome back to the family chat, Zack.
I'm happy to be here. It feels fantastic.
Oh, wow. Well played. So we're here today.
That won't be the only one.
So you have several puns loaded in the pun cannon?
I'm just going to keep saying fantastic. That's it.
So we're here to bring our Mickey, Marvel, and More Fantastic Four First Steps review. So first off, I'll go right to it and I'll ask you, do you think they did it right compared to the 2005 and 2007 gang with Chris Evans, or the 2015 Fan Four stick?
Now, not to invalidate what you've already said here, but technically, this is the fourth iteration of the Fantastic Four.
Okay, that is correct. I have been corrected.
Because there was the unreleased film in the 90s.
Okay, there is a bootleg copy of that available online, and if I'm not mistaken, they had a cameo in the film.
Did they really?
Yeah. I don't want to do it here in the spoiler section, but they did have a brief cameo, and they were also on the red carpet for the premiere.
Huh.
That team of four.
So my point in bringing that up is fourth time's the charm.
Okay, fourth time is the charm. So do you think they nailed it?
They finally got it right. I actually saw some videos on this recently about people like comparing the different versions of the Fantastic Four in movie version, like movie form and everything.
Sure.
Each one very much comes from a different era of like what was popular in cinema at the time.
Sure.
And this is the era that the Fantastic Four sort of needed to be released in. We are in an era of superhero movies where the idea is make it fun, make it colorful.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, be unafraid to portray the fact that you are a comic book movie.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be dark anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, Fantastic Four, the one from 2005, I mean, it was very much rooted in, I mean, early 2000s. You know what that was like.
Oh, yes.
And then 2015 was very, superhero movies got to be dark and gritty and bad, I guess.
Well, I think the idea was they wanted to, at least in 2015, they wanted to be more serious. They thought they had to be serious to be taken seriously. And that's just not the case for the superhero movie, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, Fantastic Four 05, it was very campy, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Right, and that was definitely of the time period.
But, I mean, then, you know, The Dark Knight came out, and everyone said we have to make our superhero movie serious.
Yeah, and I think that carried through, gosh, all the way through at least the DC universe, all the way through, you know, Man of Steel and the dark, gritty, unhappy Superman.
So, I mean, there are good things at least about the 2005, 2007 versions of Fantastic Four.
There are.
It has its fans. I have some nostalgia for it, watching it when I was younger. But, I mean, they knocked it out of the park with First Steps. This is exactly what Fantastic Four should have been.
I agree.
In my opinion, this is the best movie since Endgame. The best Marvel movie.
Wow, those are some strong, strong words, especially coming from you, who is a super fan of the Infinity Saga and the way they wrapped it up.
I'm not necessarily saying that I think it's like better than anything in the Infinity Saga, but it's at least, you know, it's at least playing in the same league. This is the best Marvel movie since 2019, and like I felt that like while I was watching it, I felt like I was watching something special.
I did too, and you know, I think that something for me that let me know I was watching something super good. I wasn't thinking about past Marvel missteps. I was just enjoying the moment. And I think that in some of the other films that have happened since Endgame, I'm looking at you, Ant-Man, I felt like I was watching Marvel crumble before my eyes when I watched Ant-Man, for example. And this, I didn't think about that at all. I just enjoyed the moment. And I think that's what a movie is supposed to be. And this really did a very good job of that.
Yeah, I didn't find myself editing moments as they were happening in my head.
Trying to retcon them for the good or bad.
Or, yeah, being like, oh, they should have done this line of dialogue, or, oh, they should have included this. And I know that there is some behind-the-scenes controversy with this movie, that it was supposed to be like 15, 20 minutes longer, and a bunch of stuff got taken out.
Yes. A lot of things in the trailer that weren't in the film, much like they did, Star Wars did with Rogue One back in the day.
Would it have been a better movie? Oh, what they released was still pretty good.
Yeah, and speaking of behind the scenes, not to drag this one out for too long, but there were casting concerns when the cast was announced. Pedro Pascal was the poster child for pretty much everything there for a while. He's been the it man for some time, but a lot of people thought he was miscast as Mr. Fantastic. Do you think that it worked out?
I mean, yeah, it ended up working out very well. He played a very good Reed Richards, and I didn't feel like I was watching Pedro Pascal.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
No, I know what you mean. He was acting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this was a moment where it's like, oh, he's not just a personality. Pedro Pascal is a good actor.
Right. I agree 100%. So along with the concerns of the casting of Pedro Pascal, to some lesser extent, there were concerns of Julia Garner's casting as Silver Surfer, not necessarily because of her gender, but because people didn't think she had the gravitas for the part. And I've got to say, I don't know 100% what you think at this point, but Julia Garner's Silver Surfer's interaction with Johnny Storm were kind of the heart of the movie.
I mean, it kind of ended up being that way. Yeah. Like this, I mean, not to derail, but like,
and not to spoil, because this is spoiler free.
Yeah. But, I mean, this was also, I think, quite possibly the best iteration of the Human Torch as well.
Ooh, oh, poor Chris Evans, huh?
Well, I mean, the idea behind the Fantastic Four is they're all astronauts, right? They're all scientists.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I feel like, the only Fantastic Four movie where Johnny Storm actually got to be smart.
No, I think I agree with you 100%. He was always just the wild card show off, and nobody really thought of him as being brilliant. But yeah, he had a big chunk of brilliance in this film. So I mean, yeah, I think they did a good job. They did a good job of that.
Yeah, he had genuine contributions to the story and the plot, and pushing it forward and adding in, new things to help them figure out what they need to do. I'm being vague on purpose.
100% correct.
Yeah, Julia Garner did a fantastic job. I feel like she ultimately didn't have like a ton of screen time in the movie, but like with what she had, she did really, really well. I think, I mean, historically, there's the Silver Surfer character who is, a man. But from what I understand, she is playing a different character who was also a Silver Surfer in the comics.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's not like they're, like, the big complaint I kept hearing people make was that, oh, she's replacing the Silver Surfer.
Right.
And no, she's not. She is a different Silver Surfer that has existed in the comics before, and with her comes a different backstory and storyline. And I don't think we would have gotten the storyline we got in the movie had it not been this iteration of the character.
Nope, I agree. I agree 100%.
And I think that made her way more interesting. I think it made the story more interesting.
Yeah, and that elevated Johnny Storm's impact on the film, too. I think so much was done right in this film. And one of the things that I think was, if you're talking about the Fantastic Four, this may be the Fantastic Fifth of the film, is the universe itself. The way the film looked. It evoked a bit of what you felt watching the animated movie The Incredibles, that sort of retro 60s, 50s culture and technology. I thought it was brilliantly done.
I mean, it's retrofuturist. That's the name of the style.
Yeah.
It's what we have in Tomorrowland in the Disney parks. It is an extent, some iterations of Epcot.
Right.
Something that just works so well for this kind of story and these kinds of characters. Like the Fantastic Four, the ideal is they are the template for the American family of the 1950s and 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with them, they bring a certain idea of family dynamic or American culture at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also, sci-fi characters. They go on space adventures. They have, impossible tools and devices. And so to blend those two things together, the sci-fi-ness of it all, the 50s aesthetic of it all, you got something that was just, it was just kind of perfect for the movie. And it's part of what helped make it so great, because the movie was not focused on, these are characters who got superpowers and we're going to focus, the story's going to be about them having powers. It was not. It was about these characters who are a family who just so happened to get superpowers.
Yeah.
And that is another aspect of what made it work so well, is part of, it's the storytelling and the stylistic choices they made that sort of grounded it in that kind of storytelling.
Yep. I agree 100%. I thought it was fantastic. There you go. I threw it in there again.
There's two. We need two more.
Right. We got to make it a 4. Nice. So let's wrap up our spoiler-free review with our recommendations for it and final thoughts. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. I thought it was great. I thought it was well done. I thought it was well written. I thought it was well acted. I thought it looked great. Everything about it was just so well executed. And, we've said this before with some of our reviews, Marvel really needed this one, but I really think they did need this one, because this was the beginning of phase 6, and it sets up all of their Avengers adventures through this entire phase.
Yeah, it's doing okay at the box office right now, but it's not doing fantastic. And Marvel is, I'm hesitant to say it, but I think that they are officially on the upswing with 2 good movies in a row. And not just 2 good movies, but 2 very good movies. That's not been the case since, honestly, phase 3. Ever since phase 3, it's been like 1 good movie, 1 meh movie, 1 good movie, 1 meh movie. This is the first time in a long time that it's 2 very good movies in a row. We are on the road to Doomsday and Secret Wars, and if you are at all interested in watching those 2 movies, you should see Fantastic Four: First Steps. Support the movie so that they can keep making good ones. And that's so you are in the know-how of what is going to happen in these next Avengers crossover movies, because it's important.
It is, and we've got Spider-Man in the middle of all this too, which has been openly filming in New York City this last couple of weeks. And so we've got that to look forward to as well.
See Fantastic Four: First Steps. It is not going to be a waste of your time. It is very, very much worthwhile if you like superhero movies and want to see Marvel's first family done right.
And if you want to have fun, that should always be. It can never be said enough about a superhero film, despite what some of the films have done over the years. The Batman films in their darkness, they're supposed to be dark. But in general, superhero films are supposed to make you feel good, supposed to make you feel happy, and supposed to be fun. This is a fun movie. Go see it. So now, Future Mark is going to come in here and tell us where to fast forward to if you want to skip the spoilers. Future Mark here. If you want to skip the spoiler-filled review of Fantastic Four: First Steps, please skip ahead to 4133. All right. Thank you, Future Mark. So we are back. The chains are unlocked. We can talk about absolutely everything we want to talk about this film for people that have already seen it. So you sort of touched on it a little bit during the spoiler-free review, but how do you think they handled the powers? Do you think they did them well?
I mean, yeah, and I love that we are in an era of superhero movies where they don't feel like they have to do an origin film anymore.
Oh, yes, thank goodness.
I actually found this out recently. The original Fantastic Four comics, they did their origin in like one page. Like the very first Fantastic Four comic, they did their origin in one page and then told a superhero story with them. This felt akin to that, where you got a montage at the start of the movie that showed how they got their powers, where they came from, what they've been doing, and then it put us into the story. And that's exactly what it needed to do.
Yeah, it was essentially one page. I mean, because it was less than 5 minutes, and they wrapped it all up. And then, they fast forwarded 4 years past that? Is that where it was?
Yeah, I forget exactly how long they've been superheroes.
There was a bit of a time jump, like they've been doing this for a while now after they showed us the intro.
I think they showed all of their powers very well. I think the only character who I feel like they didn't really do a great job of showing off the superpowers was Reed Richards.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him do something weird, man.
I wanted to see him stretch under a door. I wanted him to go through a keyhole. I wanted him to do all the kind of things that he has been, or turn his fist into a hammer like he does in the comics.
Yeah, I think while they weren't afraid to show this is a fun comic booky superhero, pulpy, whatever kind of movie, I think they were hesitant with all of the bad CGI complaints Marvel gets these days to show off anything too weird with Reed Richards. Because, I mean, the stretching, it looks uncanny. It looks off. It looks off-putting.
Well, but that's the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly. So I think given time, we're going to see them be less afraid to do weird things with the stretchy powers. That's all I wanted. I wanted to see him do something weird.
My only concern or maybe criticism was when Galactus was actually stretching him, I didn't feel like he stretched very far.
Yeah, why?
It was 30 feet.
Why was that hurting him?
I mean, because historically, he's been able to stretch to a ridiculous amount. Now, I know there is a breaking point, and that's always been that happens in the comics, historically. But I felt like it was 30 feet, and he was about to break. I'm like, but he can do much more than that. I was a little concerned about that portrayal.
I mean, I guess if you're stretched against your will, maybe that hurts. But
maybe
at the same time, I don't know. Man's is rubber. And who knows? Maybe this version of Reed Richards just isn't as stretchy. And if so, that would be a little sad.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see him use it when he was climbing things, and really that's all he used it for was climbing and reaching areas. He didn't really use it to pick locks or make a hammer with his fist or throw punches. But all of that said, I still think Pedro Pascal did a fantastic job. So now also we have confirmed that what many people suspected going into the film, that this is a different Earth. This is Earth 828 versus the sacred timeline Earth, which is where all our heroes have normally been based, which is timeline, Earth 616.
Yeah, depends on who you ask, though. Some people hold on to the old designation.
I know. As I was doing the research for this review, I stumbled across, it should be 1999999, and this should be, this should be Earth 616, and all the number thing. But these are the numbers that Marvel's team has said. So these are the numbers that apply to the MCU.
Yeah, if it helps you at all, think of this as a different multiverse from that of the comics.
Yeah.
Now, if Earth 828 sounds familiar to you, you're not crazy. It sounded very familiar to me too, and I looked it up, and the other Earth we see in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is Earth 838.
Oh, okay.
Because I just remember watching the movie and being like, why does this Earth number sound so similar? And it's because it is similar to one they've already used. So if any of you are like me and are a freak about it, there you go.
I wouldn't say freak. You just want to make sure that you understand the timeline. The timeline is very important to you. And, for people that keep track of this stuff, it is important to them. So, despite what many thought was, the final scene in the Thunderbolts, we were going to see that in this film. We didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's been confirmed now that the post-credit scene for this movie was also written and directed by the Russo bros, just like for Thunderbolts. So
they're making it all fit together.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the post-credit scene for this movie also show up in an extended form in Doomsday, just like Thunderbolts.
Before we get to that, I do want to touch on one more thing, Galactus. How do you think they did handling Galactus? I have my thoughts. I want to see what you think first.
I thought Galactus was fantastic.
Number 3.
My only complaint is I wish he were even bigger. Because there were some scenes where I'm like, this scale is off. He looks too small.
Right.
But, I mean, with how Galactus's powers work, he can change his size at will. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter how big he actually appears as.
Right. He was basically just taller than most of the buildings.
Also, I don't know how you felt, but this was the first time in a long time where I felt some genuine dread and tension in a superhero movie.
Nope. I was going to mention that. Let me just say that my thoughts on Galactus, I thought that they executed very well. I was sad that he was seated for most of the film and not moving in action until the very end, but I thought they handled him well.
Hey, that's comic accurate.
That's true. He did spend a lot of time seated in the comics, just kind of preaching from his chair. So yes, I do think this is the first time in a long time in a superhero film that I felt the stakes. I felt that this was possibly going to fail. I felt that this was going to fail in a way that leads it to Doomsday. I thought that they were going to fail and have to leave the planet and escape, and that's how they ended up, at the end of the Thunderbolts. Turns out that wasn't the case, but I felt there were real stakes. There were real tensions. I haven't felt this way since Infinity War.
Wow. Honestly, I think I would agree.
Right?
Now that you mention it, I think I haven't felt this way since Infinity War.
I mean, watching Infinity War, I knew there was going to be another film, so I knew it wasn't going to conclude, but I didn't know how devastating it was going to be.
Yeah, and I think the reasons for this are manifold. I will try to do this as succinctly as possible because
Sure.
I've thought a lot about it.
Okay.
I think partially it's just good writing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what a lot of the things in this movie chalk up to. I think it also helps that when the movie was set up, we were shown this very hopeful, very optimistic, retro future 1960s. Everyone's friends, everyone's like working together. Here's to the future. And then the other shoe drops and it just feels hopeless.
Right.
Like you see the smartest characters in the universe are like, we don't know how to stop this.
We don't know how this works.
Yeah, so it does a great job of setting you up with so much hope and then taking it away.
Yeah.
And not taking it away immediately where it feels jarring, but just this slow drip of, oh, this Silver Surfer, that was kind of freaky. Who's Galactus? Let's go find him. Oh, this is Galactus. He's really bad. And it's like the more information they get, the worse their situation becomes, and you feel it.
And when they came back to Earth and they said, what are we going to do? And Reed Richards, the smartest man in the world, says, I don't know.
And you see them struggle to come up with a plan, and then they have a plan, and then it fails, and then Galactus shows up anyway, and they're trying to save the baby. It did such a good job because you cared about the people.
Right.
The other thing for me is, I don't know, sort of a metatextual look at it. You know that this isn't our mainline universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they're somehow going to end up in Doomsday. So your options are either the multiversal shenanigans cause them to meet up with our main heroes, or their universe is gone.
Right. And they had no choice.
So, like, the stakes are different because this isn't a universe we're likely to see again.
Probably not. Well, we may see it at the beginning. I think it's going to be seen again at the beginning of Doomsday. It has to be.
Sure, but I was saying that, like, while watching the movie, like, you know that, like, we may never see this universe again, so they could very well kill everyone, and that's it. That to me added to the stakes.
No, I agree. I felt this movie had weight and had stakes. So this leads us very organically into talking about the post-credit scenes. So there were two. There was a mid-credits and a post-credits. The most important one of the two was the mid-credits, and really the only one that matters. They showed us Doomsday.
Yeah. I mean, that was Dr. Doom. And it looks like for the Fantastic Four, when Doomsday starts, 4 years will have passed for them.
Okay.
Because
right.
Franklin in that post-credit scene was a 4-year-old.
Yeah, Franklin's the baby. We've not talked much about the baby.
Franklin Richards is, by all accounts, the most powerful Marvel character to pretty much ever exist.
Even more so than Bob?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, and when I say he is more powerful than Bob, I mean, like, he is more powerful than Bob.
So we're talking godlike.
I believe there's a really famous panel from the comics where Franklin Richards is lying in his bed as like a 10-year-old, and he has created a universe in between his hands, like a miniature universe.
Oh, wow.
Franklin Richards is extremely powerful, and I think if Doomsday and Secret Wars follows the comics at all, Franklin Richards is going to be very important to Dr. Doom's master plan.
Which is why Dr. Doom was connecting with him in the post-credits scene, or the mid-credits scene. And it's been confirmed that that was Robert Downey Jr. on set.
That's pretty cool. Like, they just have the cloak so you can't tell it's him, but you know it's him, and that's pretty cool.
Well, and then the Russo bros directed it, because I believe that probably is a scene that we're going to see, and like you said, an extended version of in Doomsday. It's got to be at the beginning, because it has to set everything up, I have a feeling, because he is there to get Franklin. He wants to have the power.
I would not be surprised if that scene ends up being the cold open to Doomsday.
Yeah.
Like, that is the scene that starts everything. I envision some kind of thing where Sue realizes what's going on. She calls in the other members, but he steals Franklin away before they can do anything.
Yeah. And we also know from what we've been told that Tony's snap in Endgame directly affects this Doctor Doom in this universe. And I'm wondering if this version of Doctor Doom has damage to his face like Tony did because of the snap. And I wonder if Franklin touching his face is healing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just thought about that the other day. I'm not sure if that's going to apply, because I don't know how any of this is going to fit together. None of us do. Only the Russo brothers and the team working on the film. But they are going to try to connect all of this tissue together, and they said it's directly connected to Endgame. So could this be a variant? I don't know. Could it be actual Tony that's gone dark in this universe? We don't know. But the fact that he touched his face really made me think, okay, he used his power to revive and save his mother in a way that we don't understand yet, but he also touched his face. So either this Franklin, for some reason, recognizes him, or he was healing him.
Yeah,
just a thought.
With all of the different ways they could go with things and all the theories I see online about Doomsday and Secret Wars, it is very reminiscent of the old days when people were speculating about Infinity War and Endgame.
Yep.
And I think that is exactly the kind of hype and conversation that Marvel wanted to spark online.
Yes, 100%.
Just to get people talking about the movies, to get people excited about the movies, and to say, well, this could happen, well, this could happen, well, this could happen. they're filming Doomsday right now.
Yes.
And they have done a remarkable job at keeping everything under wraps.
Yep.
I remember when Infinity War was filming, we had all these set leaks. We had all these like pictures from things that were going on set. We're not getting that with Doomsday. They are keeping this locked down tight. We are getting tiny, tiny, tiny tidbits here and there. And I wonder if a lot of them are intentional.
Could be. And I would not be surprised if they were.
So I really feel like anything could happen. And that's kind of exciting to not really know what's going to happen going into one of these Marvel movies, because usually I know what's going to happen.
Or you have an idea just because of all the leaks. And I am so glad that they're keeping things tight, and I'm excited for these movies now. And it's been a long time since I've been excited for a Marvel film.
I mean,
so I feel like I'm really looking forward to this.
We're not going to know what's going to be happening until the first trailer, probably.
Yeah. And
we're probably not going to get that first trailer until the Super Bowl, probably?
Maybe, and I'm super grateful for that. I want to be in suspense. I want to be excited about this. So we can quickly talk about the other post-credit scene. It was just Herbie turning off the television, watching the animated intro for their Fantastic Four's cartoon show.
Yeah, it's just a little nod to, old superhero cartoons. And
meanwhile, in the Justice League.
Yeah, it's just a cute little thing. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's cute, but it's not the one that mattered.
It was just a fun nod to that universe, actually.
Yeah.
That, like you said, we're probably not going to spend much time in anymore. So, final thoughts. Go see this film.
If you are a fan of comic book movies, if you liked Superman, you will like this movie. If you like good Marvel movies, you will like this movie. It does so much so right, and it makes you excited to want to watch superhero movies again.
100% agree. I could not agree with you more. Go see Fantastic Four: The First Steps.
Anyway, I hate to interrupt. I know you're very busy. Is there any way you could finish this area, later? I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Look, Mr. Saltine, I don't tell you how to threaten your blonde kid, so why don't you go back over there to your sit and spin and let me do my job?
Okay, copy that. Good talk.
Thanks so much for joining us for our first Back in the Studio Mickey, Marvel, and More episode in a while. And a big thank you to fan favorite Zach for hanging out with me in this episode's family chat with our review of Fantastic Four: First Steps. It was fantastic. Hey, we said we would do it. We got to 4. Make sure you check out the show notes for links to all the stories we talked about today, as well as links to all of our socials. And if you have any comments, ideas, or suggestions, feel free to drop us a note at our email address, Mickey, Marvel, and More, all one word, @gmail.com. And if we read your message on the show, you will be just like Guybrush Threepwood and become a friend of the show and be well on your way to becoming a member of our 5-Timers Club, where we may or may not hand out imaginary jackets. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, my name is Mark, and you've been listening to Mickey, Marvel, and More. If not, never mind, it looks like the crew is back at it. I guess we'll just see you next time.